praises to the most high power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. All praises to Mashiach Yahushua, the anointed Savior, who came here and gave his life, shed his blood for we, the children of Israel. All praises to his holy name also, by Shama Mashiach Yahushua. As always, we're going to start out with Colossians 3 and 17. I'll get my space. Then there was light. Colossians 3:17. And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all by Hashem Mashiach Yahushua. Give me thanks to the Most High and the Father by Hashem Mashiach Yahushua. So all that we say and do is going to be in the name of the anointed Savior. We give all praise and glory and thanks to the Most High. For these words to be praised for everything. Say hallelujah, his glorious name. So it's the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles. I want to go into a few scriptures. I challenge, people that go to church or that call themselves a Christian, why aren't they following the same traditions that Mashiach Yahushua did, rather than following, that's why I call them, I have a reason why I say secular and worldly and pagan churches, because Christmas is not something that Mashiach Yahushua observed. Easter's not something that he observed. Halloween, most definitely, that you're getting ready to set up and try to make some excuse of how you're going to justify, having it in the church. I went to a church just to see how wicked they would be in having a Halloween haunted house in the church, where they went to the slaughterhouse and got all kind of guts and blood and everything to scare the children. So they would have to go to Not Scary Farm or wherever they go to see haunted houses. This is wickedness. This is what we should be doing. We should be following what the Most High would have us do in pleasing Him. And not, that's why I say, you're not pleasing Him in following these pagan holidays. Leviticus 23. Leviticus 23 and 1. This is the law. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Most High. You hear that? The feast of the Most High. You wanna follow Him, say you love me, keep my commandments. The feast of the Most High, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts. I must emphasize the fact that he said these are my feasts. And these feasts are a Sabbath day. That's why he go into the next verse talking about his Sabbath. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest. In holy convocation, just like the feast are holy convocation, meaning the holy gathering, assembling ourselves together. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Most High in all your dwellings. These are the feasts of the Most High, even holy convocation, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. We have different seasons, different times that we observe them. That's what he's talking about. So we're going to look at, I want to go into showing you, since a lot of our people believe in Mashiach Yahushua, the anointed Savior, who the world calls Jesus Christ, I just want to show you that he observed these feast days. He observed these feast days that you can read about in Leviticus 23rd chapter. And the Feast of Dedication, where we said we would honor our victory over our enemies and getting our temple back from the Edomites, or the so-called white man that had defiled our temple. When you understand how they took out the Apocrypha from the original King James 611 Bible, 14 books, in between Malachi to Matthew, there's a gap between there in history, in our story as the Israelites. And it's found in the Maccabees, the Greek Empire. Because in Malachi, you in the Persian and Mede Empire. When you get to Matthew, you in the Roman Empire. They even teach you in school about Alexander the Greek. And he's in the Bible. He has to be in the Bible. The Bible dealing with history, even in his story. I mean, it's his story, but still at the same time, it's right there in the Bible. So that's why it's very important for us to know what has happened and to come up with a solution to be able to find out the truth. And that's what we have done. This is something that just came about all of a sudden. This is something that's been done. So let's look at, let's go into it. Go to Luke, the 2nd chapter. No, Matthew. Luke, the 2nd chapter. Let's start there. Luke, the 2nd chapter. And let's look at verse 41. Luke 2:41. Now his parents went to the Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. The feast of the Passover. It's not Easter. It's around that time, but they use Easter by dealing with the spring equinox and so forth. It has nothing to do with Mashiach Yahushua. And he wasn't born on December 25th, because it will tell you here when he was born. They say, now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. And when, look up that word when, it means at that exact time, he was 12 years old. See, that's his birthday. On the Passover. They went up to Jerusalem after the customs of the feast that we just read about. See? So, I'm just showing you, this is what he did. Look at Luke 22. Luke 22 and 15. Luke 22 and 15. We're in the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles, the 8th day. Luke 22 and 15. And he said unto them, with desire I have desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. So, it's the time that he died also. On the Passover, same time period that he died. For I say unto you, I will not any more eat thereof until it be fulfilled in the kingdom of the Most High. So let's go to the book of John, the 2nd chapter, and I'm going to show you how, if you have an attentive mind, you're going to see that these feast days kind of go consecutive as they are, as we know them and have been doing them for years. Those of us have been doing the feast days for years in consecutive order. As you can read in Leviticus 23rd chapter. I just didn't read all of the feast days, but I've already done that for when we open up on the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles. So look at St. John, the 2nd chapter, and the 13th verse. And the Jews' Passover was at hand, and the Mashiach went up to Jerusalem. So he honored the Passover, and found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves, and the changing of money sitting. So the Passover, they up there making money, selling things, trying to come up on the Passover in the temple. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, beat them out the temple. Once he made a small cord, braided them together, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money, poured over the money table, and overthrew the tables, and said unto them that sold doves, they sell it, that these things hence make not my Father's house an house of merchandise. So during this Passover, this Feast of Unleavened Bread, you're not supposed to be doing this. Selling, trying to make the Most High's house a house of merchandise. That's wrong. And the disciples remembered that it was written, the zeal of thine house hath eaten me up. That's the scripture that they remember. Psalm 69 and 9. You can write that down. That's what they remember. So, look at verse 23. Now when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover, not Easter. Now when he was, because Easter represents, celebration of Semiramis, the fertility god, fertility idol, Semiramis. Diana, Osiris, gotta have a lot of names. Queen of Heaven. All this represents Semiramis. Now when he was in Jerusalem, verse 23, at the Passover, in the feast day, many believed in his name, about Shema Mashiach Yahushua, in the name of the Lord and Savior, when they saw the miracles which he did. But the Mashiach Yahushua did not commit himself unto them, because he knew all men, and needed not that any should testify of man, for he knew what was in man. See, don't need nobody, that's what I say, he made himself no reputation. You care nothing about all that. That's not what it's all about, brothers and sisters. It's about bringing our people back to the Most High in righteousness and staying there and not wavering. That was his mission, to come to bring us back to the Most High. No remission of sins without the shedding of blood. So his precious blood was shed for us. Look at Matthew 26 and 17. Now the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the disciples came to Mashiach, saying unto him, where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? Said, where you want us to go prepare to eat the Passover? And he said, go into the cities to such a man, and say unto him, the master said, my time is at hand. I will keep Passover at thy house with my disciples. The disciples did as Mashiach had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. See? So, look at verse 20. Now when the evening was come, he sat down with the 12 to get ready to eat the Passover. He said, doesn't do it Easter. So go to St. John. That's the Passover. So let's see what comes next. Go to John the 5th chapter, first verse. After this, there was a feast of the Jews. Mashiach went up to Jerusalem. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool which is called in Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. And these lay a great multitude of impotent folk. I mean, they were crippled, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool, and troubled the water, blew the water around. Whosoever then first, after the troubling of the water, stepped in, was made whole of whatsoever disease he had. And a certain man was there, which had an infirmity 38 years. He had an infirmity 38 years. When the Mashiach saw him lie, and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, 38 years, he said to him, wilt thou be made whole? The impotent man answers him, sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another steppeth down before me. Nobody put me in the pool to catch the water when it's trouble. And the angel trouble the water. Mashawashai said unto him, Rise, take up thy bed and walk. Immediately the man was made whole, and took up his bed and walked. And on the same day was the Sabbath. Because why was the Sabbath? Because it says, verse 1, John 5:1, after this there was a feast of the Jews, and Mashawashai went up to Jerusalem. So the feast days are Sabbath, just like the regular Sabbath we have every 7 days. The feast days included in being a Sabbath. You honor them the same way, except for we able to, have a feast. The Jews said therefore unto him that was cured, It is the Sabbath day. It is not lawful for thee to carry thy bed. He answered them, He that made me whole, the same said unto me, Take up thy bed and walk. And asked they him, What man is that which said unto thee, Take up thy bed and walk? And he that was healed was not who he was, for Mashawashai had conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place. See? He didn't make himself a reputation. Think about it. Somebody that's trying to come up, be like, hey, my name is this, my name is that. You let everybody know I did it. Or they be happy that somebody's acknowledging them. He ain't caring about all that. This is Mashiachim, and we all supposed to be Mashiachim. You care about no reputation, about whatever it is you dealing here. You know what he had to do. And it was on the Sabbath day. That's why you hear the technical Israelites. You can't do that on the Sabbath. You can't even carry your bed on the Sabbath day. Mashawashai told him to pick up his bed and walk. And he that was healed was not who it was, for Mashawashai had conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place. Afterward, Mashawashai found him in the temple and said unto him, Behold, thou art made whole. Sin no more, lest the worst thing come upon thee. That's why when you look at, we say repent. You repenting to the Most High. Don't go backwards. You say, you hear what he said? He said, hey, sin no more. Because we repenting for our sins. He said, sin no more. That's the worst thing gonna happen to you. And what you see, that condition he was in for 38 years. The man departed, told the Jews that it was the Mashiach Yahushai which had made him whole. And therefore did the Jews persecute the Mashiach Yahushai and sought to slay him, sought to kill him, because he had done these things on the Sabbath day. But Mashiach Yahushai answered them, My Father worketh hitherto, and I work. Therefore the Jews sought the more to kill him, because he not only had broken the Sabbath, but said also that the Most High was his Father, making himself equal with the Most High, meaning he is son of the Most High. That's what that's talking about. Then answered the Mashawashai and said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, this on the feast day, what comes after the Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Feast of the Pentecost, Feast of Ingathering, Feast of First Fruits. He's observing it. Verse 19, then answered the Mashawashai and said unto them, Verily, verily, truly, truly, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. For what things soever he doeth, these also doeth the Son likewise. For the Father loveth the Son, and showeth him all things that himself doeth. And he will show him greater works than these, that ye may marvel. For as the Father raises up the dead and quickeneth them, even so the Son quickeneth whom he will. For the Father judges no man, but hath committed all judgment unto the Son, that all men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Father. He that honoreth not the Son, honoreth not the Father, which hath sent him. Verily, verily, I say to you, he that heareth my word and believeth on him that sent me, who is the Most High, have everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death unto life. So, you see, he had to deal with negative on a joyous day. But you see how people are. They negative. Go to John, the 7th chapter. John the 7th chapter. And look at verse 10. But when his brethren were gone up, then went he also up into the feast. Well, let's look at verse 1. John 7 and 1. After these things, Yahushua walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry because the Jews sought to kill him. See? He couldn't walk in Jerusalem anymore, so he went up northern Israel to Galilee. Now the Jews' feast of Tabernacles was at hand. So now it's the feast of Tabernacles. Right? Feast of Tabernacles. His brethren therefore said unto him, Depart hence and go into Judea, that thy disciples also may see the works that thou doest. Say, come on, depart and go into Judea, so the disciples can see all the works and miracles that you're doing. But there is no man that doeth anything in secret, and he himself seeketh to be known openly. If thou do these things, show thyself to the world. Say, no man do these things in secret and expect to be known openly. Listen to what Mashiach said. For neither did his brother believe in him. Then Mashiach said unto them, My time is not yet come, but your time is always ready. So my time ain't come to suffer, to be put to death, but your time is already. You can die anytime. The world cannot hate you, but me it hated. Remember, the Jews wanted to kill him, because I testify of it that the works thereof are evil. So now when you look at you being Mashiach and you're going against all the wickedness of this world, and you got those that don't want to hear that, then they wicked right with the world. Straight up. You see what he said? The world cannot hate you, but me it hateth, because I testify of it that the works thereof are evil. Go ye up unto the feast, this feast. I go not up yet unto this feast, for my time is not yet full come. See, I'm not going up to the feast yet, because my time is not full come. When he had said these words unto them, he abode still in Galilee. He stayed in Galilee. But when his brethren were gone up, then went he also up unto the feast, not openly, but as it was in secret. Remember, they wanted to kill him. Every time that was their whole plot, to kill him. Then the Jews sought him at the feast and said, Where is he? And there was much murmuring among the people concerning him. For some said, He is a good man. Others said, Nay, which means no, but he deceiveth the people. They trying to call him the devil. Remember, the devil deceived the whole world? Howbeit, no man spake openly of him for fear of the Jews, because they was scared they're going to be put out the temple. Now, about the midst of the feast, Mashiach went up into the temple and taught. About the midst of the feast, he went into the temple and taught. And the Jews marveled, saying, How knoweth this man letters, having never learned? Mashiach answered them and said, My doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. He said, My doctrine is not mine, but the Most High's. He the one that sent him. If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of the Most High or whether I speak of myself. He that speak of himself seeketh his own glory. See? Hear that? He that speak of himself seeketh his own glory. So you talk about yourself, this, that, and the third, whatever, trying to be exalted. You seeking glory in this hell, this evil world he just pronounced to be evil. He that speaketh of himself seeketh his own glory. But he that seeketh his glory that sent him, the Most High, the same is true, and no unrighteousness is in him. Did not Moses give you the law, and yet none of you keepeth the law? Why are you about to kill me? He said, didn't Moses give you the law? Yet none of you keepeth the law. He said, why are you going about to kill me? The people answered and said, Thou hast a devil, see? Remember it said, some people, others said nay, in verse 12, but he deceiveth the people. The devil, which means deceitful and evil person. The people answered in verse 20 and said, Thou hast a devil. Who goeth about to kill thee? Moshe answered and said unto them, I have done one work, and ye all marvel. Moses therefore gave unto you circumcision, not because it is of Moses, but of the fathers. And yet on the Sabbath day you circumcise a man. They circumcise a man on the Sabbath day. If a man on the Sabbath day receives circumcision, that the law of Moses should not be broken, are ye angry at me because I have made a man very whole on the Sabbath day? Come on. This man had the infirmity for 38 years. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Then said some of them at Jerusalem, Is not this he whom they seek to kill? Now people running their mouth. Hey, ain't that him who they seeking to kill? But lo, he's speaking boldly, and they say nothing unto him. Do the rulers know indeed that this is the very Mashiach? There's a difference, people, between Yahushua or Jesus or Yeshua. This is the very Mashiach, the very Messiah, the very anointed. Howbeit we know this man whence he is, but when Mashiach cometh, no man knoweth when he is. Then cried Mashiach in the temple as he taught, saying, knowing what they said, Ye both know me, and ye know whence I am. And I have not come of myself, but he that sent me is true, whom ye know not. It's the Most High. See, I ain't come of myself, but the Most High is true. And you don't even know him. But I know him, for I am from him, and he hath sent me. Then they sought to take him. No man laid hands on him because his hour was not yet come. See, they couldn't do nothing because his hour wasn't come. And many of the people believed on him and said, when Mashiach cometh, will he do more miracles than these which this man has done? You gotta understand. They saying that because, look at what it say. Go to John, the 21st chapter. And let's look at what it says in verse 25. And there are also many other things which Mashiach did, the which, if they should be written every one, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. That's a lot of miracles. So that's Feast of the Tabernacles. So that's in St. John 10. So as we move along, what comes next? Feast of Dedication. As we're waiting on Feast of Dedication. So let's go to St. John, the 10th chapter. And verse 22. And it was at Jerusalem the feast of the dedication. And it was winter. Sometimes it falls between Esau's 11th month, sometimes the 12th month, right around the same time as their pagan Christmas. And it was at Jerusalem the feast of the dedication. And it was winter. And we will go over that, for our next holy convocation in detail. And the Mashiach walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. Then came the Jews round about him and said unto him, How long dost thou make us to doubt? How long are you making us to doubt? If thou be Hamashiach, tell us plainly. So there's only one Hamashiach. And really it's been a mystery to those, theologians and those that read the Bible. It's been hidden. There's only one Hamashiach. And that's what they were concerned about. Because that's the Messiah, the anointed. Mashiach answered them, I told you. So he's admitting that he is a Mashiach. And you believe not. So all you Jewish people waiting on him to come for the first time, you off. He said, I told you and you believe not. The works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness of me. But ye believe not, because ye are not of my sheep, as I said unto you. See, everybody not of his sheep. You don't believe because you're not of his sheep. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father which gave them me is greater than all. So that you know that they're not the same. The Most High that gave Mashiach's sheep, him, Mashiach Yahushua, is greater than all. And no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one. Meaning they agree. You can't run from the Most High. Especially all you that don't believe in him. You are the volume of the book, you look at the Most High in the Old Testament. You see all that war and bloodshed and so forth. And captivity, slavery, and bondage and all the conditions that the Most High is bringing about, and you think you're going to run to a Mashiach Yahushua. He's telling you here, I and my Father are one, meaning they agree. Let me clear that up right quick. Go to St. John 14. They're not the same. They don't have the same in power. Mashiach Yahushua just told you. Most High is greater than all. Now let's look at St. John 14 to 28. St. John 14:28, just to prove that. Ye have heard how I said unto you, I go away and come again unto you. So we're waiting to come again. If you love me, you will rejoice, you'll be happy. Because I said, I go unto the Father, for my Father is greater than I. You get no clearer than that. He said, my Father is greater than I. They're not the same. So you see, Mashiach Yahushua, he kept the holy days. Let's go to Paul. Go to Acts 26. Acts 26 and 6. It said, and now I stand and am judged for the hope of the promise made of the Father Most High unto our fathers, which promise are 12 tribes. How you gonna say the 12 tribes don't exist when he's saying unto which promise are 12 tribes, instantly serving the Most High day and night, hope to come, for which hope's sake, King Agrippa, I am accused of the Jews. He was accusing them. Look at verse 16. He said, but rise and stand up upon thy feet, for I have appeared unto thee for this purpose, to make thee a minister and a witness both of these things which thou hast seen, and of those things in the which I will appear unto thee. See, he had to suffer for Mashiach Yahushua's sake. And when you read about this in Acts the 9th chapter, he's giving an account of what happened to him. You know, he's telling a story here. He was converted. He was following just what, you know, what we were doing, but he's just giving an account. But I'm in the wrong chapter. I want to go to Acts 20, so like 20 and 6. Yeah, that's it. Acts 20 and 6. It's Paul. And he sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread. See? After the days of unleavened bread. And he sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread, and came unto them to Troas in 5 days, where he abode 7 days. See? Upon the first day of the week, when the disciples came together to break bread, Paul preached unto them, ready to depart on the morrow, and continue his speech until midnight. He continued his speech until midnight. A lot of you can't even deal with an hour of continual teaching, 2 hours at the most. And there were many lights in the upper chamber where they were gathered together. And there sat in a window a certain young man named Ethnicus. Being fallen into a deep sleep, he fell asleep. And as Paul was long preaching, get that? He was long preaching, he sunk down with sleep and fell down from the third floor, and was taken up dead. He fell down. They said, he's dead. And Paul went down and fell on him and embraced him, said, trouble not yourselves, for his life is in him. And he therefore was come up again, and had broken bread and eaten and talked a long while, even till break of day. So he departed. Talked to the break of day, many, many hours. They brought the young man alive, and with not a little comfort. See? Look at verse 16. For Paul had determined to sail by Ephesus, because he would not spend the time in Asia, for he hasted, if it were possible for him, to be at Jerusalem the day of Pentecost. See, these are feast days. The day of Pentecost is 50 days after the Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. 50 days later is the day of Pentecost. He's observing that. Now go to Acts 24. Acts 24 and 11. Acts 24 and 11. Because that thou mayest understand that there are yet but 12 days since I went up to Jerusalem to worship. See? Went up to Jerusalem to worship. They neither found me in the temple disputing with any man, neither raising up the people, neither in the synagogue, nor in the city. Neither can they prove the things whereof they now accuse me. But this I confess unto thee, that after the way which they call heresy, so worship I the power of my fathers, power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, believing all things which are written in the law and in the prophets. That's all they had to go by. Perfect example of, y'all believe it in Paul's writing. A lot of you don't understand Paul's writing, but he only dealt with the law and the prophets. That's all they had to go by. And have hope toward the Most High, which they themselves also allow, that there shall be a resurrection of the dead, both for the just and unjust. So look at, and herein do I exercise myself to have always a conscience void of offense toward the Most High and toward men. So he says he's changed. Remember, as Saul, he was putting people to death, calling on the name of the Lord and Savior. Verse 17, now after many years I came to bring alms to my nation and offerings. See? So look at, go to Zechariah, 14th chapter. Zechariah, the 14th chapter. Look at verse 9. And the Most High shall be, and the Mashiach shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one power, and his name one. Hallelujah. All the land shall be turned as a plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, and it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place, from Benjamin's gate unto the place of the first gate, unto the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananel unto the king's wine presses. And man shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, no more war, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. That's what it's letting us know. Look at verse 8. And it shall be in that day that living waters shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and in winter shall it be. These laws, such commandments, man, the way of the Most High. Look at verse 16. And it shall come to pass, it's the future, that everyone that is left of all the nations, there's going to be a remnant of the nations that's going to be left for the kingdom, which came against Jerusalem, shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, power of hosts, master of hosts, and to keep the feast of tabernacles. This is how important this feast of tabernacles is. Hear what he said? And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations, everyone that's left of all the nations, which came against Jerusalem, came against the Israelites, shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the master, the power of hosts, of armies, and to keep the feast of tabernacles. It shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the master, the power of hosts, even unto them shall be no rain, shall be no blessings. That the family of Egypt go not up and come not, there have no rain, no blessings. There shall be the plague, start plaguing them, wherewith the Most High will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles. So he can bring, not only not bless them, he gonna bring plagues upon them. They don't want to come to honor the Mashiach Yahushua, to the glory of the Most High on the feast of tabernacles. He gonna plague them. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not to keep the feast of tabernacles. So I ain't playing. Isaiah 49. So not only now, but in the kingdom, it's going to be observed. So we rehearsing now, Judges 5:11. So we, hopefully you will take this serious enough to realize if you want to be there, better know. Isaiah 49. Look at verse 8. Isaiah 49:8. Thus said the Most High, in acceptable time have I heard thee, and in the day of salvation, power and authority, Israel, have I helped thee, and I will preserve thee, 1/3 of the 12 tribes of Israel, and give thee for a covenant of the people, to establish the earth, to establish the earth, to cause to inherit the desolate heritages. that thou may say to the prisoners, go forth. Them that are in darkness, not knowing this truth, show yourselves. They shall feed in the ways, and their pastors shall be in all high places. They shall not hunger nor thirst, neither shall the heat nor sun smite them. For he that hath mercy on them shall lead them, even by the springs of water shall he guide them. And I will make all my mountains a way, and my highways shall be exalted. Behold, these shall come from far, and lo, these from the north, and from the west, and these from the land of Sinai. He's going to get us from the four corners of the earth, people. That's why we got to get ready and be ready. That's why he told us in verse 5 and 6, Isaiah 49, and now, said the Most High, that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. See, that's our problem. We not with the Most High. Mashiach died that we can come back to the Most High, and we pushing him away, saying we ain't got to follow you. By saying you ain't got to follow his rules and regulations, his laws, statutes, and commandments in the church. You're not under the law, but we're under mercy and grace, and you Gentiles. You've been grafted in among the Gentiles. Get out of here. That would make no sense. The whole Bible's talking to Israel, the Israelites. That's why it says, and now, said the Most High, that formed me from the womb, to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of the Most High, and my power shall be my strength. And he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel. That's a 1/3. We have different means of telling us about the 1/3 within these scriptures. You got the sheep, we just heard the sheep, they hear his voice. The preserved, the ransomed, the redeemed. 1/3 of the 12 tribes of Israel. The justified, the glorified, the sanctified, the many, the few. All, which is a certain number. We know that all, a certain number is 1/3 of the 12 tribes of Israel. You see? The remnant, elect, election. All these words are used to preserve, as we see in here, of Israel. Preserved of Israel, 1/3 of the 12 tribes of Israel. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. The Gentiles pertaining to the northern tribes and those that are lost of our people that go to church and call themselves Gentiles. Because a lot of people that's coming into the light, coming into the law, such commandments of the Most High, having faith in the Mashiach, fearing the Most High, coming from the churches. So we are a light to the Gentiles. This is being fulfilled as I'm speaking right now. We are a light to the Gentiles. So you see, in the kingdom, we still going to be honoring Feast of Tabernacles. Those nations that don't want to come up, you're going to bring plagues on them. Ain't going to be no blessings. They going to know of the Most High power. Of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So look at, since we're in the kingdom, let's stay there. Go to Isaiah 65. And 66 and 22. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, said the Most High, so shall your seed and your name remain. New heavens and new earth. Said, so shall the children that we're going to have remain. How many? Look at what he said. He told us. Hallelujah. In Isaiah 60th chapter, in verse 21 and 22. He said, our people also shall be all righteous. Meaning we're going to be keeping the laws. Statute commandments, when you read Deuteronomy 6 and 25, that's how you be righteous, to keep the laws, statute commandments of the Most High. Thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. You want to inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, not man's planting, but the branch of the Most High's planting. the work of my hands. So don't listen to no man. It's going to be the hands of the Most High, that I may be glorified. So no matter how you look at it, the Most High going to be glorified. He's going to be all in all. That's what it's all about. That he may be glorified. Listen, a little one shall become 1,000. Hear that? A little man shall become 1,000. And a small one, a strong nation. I, the Most High, will hasten it in his time. In the time that the Most High going to ordain this. Now go back to Isaiah 66 and 22 now. Whereas the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, said the Most High, so shall your seed and your name remain. So then you know, we have a lot of children. So little one going to bring forth 1,000 children. The small one, a strong nation. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, that's the first day of the month, the new moon, going to have these in the kingdom also. One new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, so we'll have Sabbath days. Every 7 days we'll have the Sabbath days, we'll have the feast days also. Shall all flesh come to worship before me, said the Most High. I just told you about these of tabernacle in the kingdom. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses, that's the dead bodies, of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worms shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched. They shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. It's going to be a hating to all flesh to see this. But it's going to be there. So once you go there, then the final judgment is going to be the Mashiach Yahushua, bring it on. Look at Revelation 20. And 12. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before Mashiach Yahushua. He's judging according to the judgment of the Most High. The books were open. You got books that record everything. The books were open. And another book was open, which is the book of life. So you got the books that's going to be open on each one of us. And you have the book of life. That's going to be open. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them.